What is up, everybody? It is Og here, back with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the ZF GY farm with a Mage or a Paladin, but adding in Scarabs. And so, one of my most popular videos I've ever made was the ZF level 42 plus Mage farm, where we take the GY and we farm it all at once with Blizzarding. That is possible with the Scarabs as well. And so that is something I've been working on the past few days, figuring out exactly how to do this and how to do this consistently. And ultimately, I went through a lot of trials and tribulations to do that, and so that's what I want to show you guys today in the video. There's going to be a lot of dying and trying to figure it out, but hopefully it will help you guys prevent your own mistakes and be able to get as much experience as possible. If you can include these Scarabs in these farms, it's actually an additional 20% experience per run. So I would highly recommend doing this. I'd recommend starting at a Mage at level 42 and a Paladin at level 44, but you can potentially do it earlier with both, and I'll be going into that in the video as well. There's timestamps linked down below, so if you want to jump to the Mage portion or the Pally portion, but we're going to start off with the Mage portion and show you guys exactly what I learned along the way, and then we'll jump into the Pally portion after that. If you guys are enjoying these videos, or if you have any questions you'd like to ask me, definitely hit that subscribe button and then jump into the Twitch link down in the description below. Happy to answer any questions I can and help you guys out as much as possible. All right, let's jump into the video. So the original goal was to start off at level 40 and be able to do all this and grab the Scarabs and be good to go. And so I went through the run like normal, and I have a video about how to do this at level 40 with the normal run so guys can sneak by just as I'm doing here. So I'll link that up above and then down below in the description as well if you guys would like to check that out. Real quick and easy to get through here at level 40 and kill the mobs as normal. It'll take a little bit of practice when you're first getting started, but once you get through, a couple runs and a couple successful runs, you're going to be good to go from there. But overall, the idea was, all right, if I can get to the graveyard, open up the graveyard, and then from there, go ahead and go back to get the Scarabs, I should be good to go. So here you see me running through. Obviously, I sped up the clip a little bit so you guys didn't have to sit there and watch all of that. But you can run through, use all the reset spots, get to the end spot, and then hopefully get to the Scarabs. But the issue with the Scarabs is that they range from, I think it's 43 to 46, but the upper level is 46. So you being level 40 means that they are 6 levels ahead of you. And even if you have maximum defense for your level, that means that they are going to crush you and daze you as much as humanly possible. Additionally, all of these, Blood Fury or Blood Drinkers and Witch Doctors and just the zombies in the regular area are going to as well, because they are up to level 44. And since they're up to level 44 from all the graves, and there's a ton of them, they have a massive chance to resist all of your spells. Even with the 6% chance additional to not have them resist from elemental precision, there's still about a 30% chance they resist your Frost Nova. So if you're running through this area with all the Scarabs following you, most likely they're going to end up resisting you. So I was hoping that I could sneak by them and not have to worry, but unfortunately, the only way to really sneak by them without having to worry is if you have some kind of bubble, so a lip. But you can't use lips until 45. So I decided to give it a couple tries at level 40 and see how it went. Went ahead, opened up all the graves, and then snuck along the back. If you don't know, you can sneak along the back here and go right back into the Scarabs without having to run back through. And so we'll be able to slow down that later and check it out, but I get into the Scarab room, I'm keeping track of Theka, and then I'm going to get the pull started. The idea is that you want to pull all the Scarabs with Theka being right in front of the door leading towards the next place. And if you wait to pull the Scarabs until that happens, Theka won't aggro on you, and you'll be able to sneak by. So that's the easy part. Now we have all the Scarabs aggroed onto us. But now we're going to come into this room. We obviously have Ice Barrier, we have Cold Snap, so we can Cold Snap Nova again, but our goal is to get over to this platform over here. If we get over to this platform over here, what we can do is we can jump up and get up to the top, and then we'll be safe. Now, as you saw, I got almost right there, but with leeway, they just smacked me. And every single mob hits you for, 160 to 200, and you have a total of like 1,500 health. So you can only get hit 7 times, and you aggro all the zombies no matter how close you are, and so you end up pulling pretty much guaranteed. But I decided to go back in and try it a couple more times, see if we could figure it out. Kept on running into the same kind of issues. I would try to go to the left, I would try to go to the right, I tried to just Nova, Cold Snap, and everything like that, but at the end of the day, you can see that just all the mobs converge on you and just basically kill you every single time. So I think it's a little unrealistic to continuously do this at level 40. That being said, maybe if you had Fort and maybe for an engineer and you can use iron grenades. They still could resist your iron grenades, but potentially that could help as well. There might be some possibility that you can pull it off, but ultimately I would say that it's probably not worth trying until you're level 42. So what I decided to do was go ahead and level from 40 to 42 real quick. So here we go, we're about to ding 41. And as I said before, even at level 40, this is pretty easy. Definitely takes a lot longer to actually do the kill phase at this level, but you can jump back and forth as many times as you need to. And I just used, some mana potions and I was good to go. If you're curious about the gear and everything like that I used, all the setup and all that jazz, go ahead and check out the link in the description down below so you can see the general farm of how we would do this on our mage. But ultimately, we're able to get 41, and then we're going to keep on going until we get 42. I did end up dying once during these runs because I just was not being smart and let the mobs get way too close to me on the bottom. But you can see there we're ding 41, and here we have all the mobs, and we're going to burn them down to ding 42. Now, the reason why we want to get to 42 is because the mobs here that we're focusing on right now are level 43 and 44. This means that they are now going to be yellow to us, which means that we no longer have a 17% chance to resist if they're 3 levels above you, or like a 30% chance to resist if they're 4 levels above you. But rather we have, 1% or up to like a 3% chance to be resisted by these mobs. And so at the end of the day, you have a pretty good chance that you're not going to be resisted by the mobs, and you're going to be able to get off that Nova and then get the Cold Snap Nova. So my initial thought was I was going to go around the backside of this section over here and jump up from the backside. That would allow me to jump up this pillar, jump up to the top ledge, and then run around, which is pretty similar to what you just saw in my last attempt at level 40. There is some slight issues with this attempt though, which we're going to see as soon as we hit level 42. So this probably isn't the best strategy. But what I did find was that if you go through the front, you should be good to go with the strategy. So there we are, we ding level 42. The mobs are now yellow to us, and you can see that we're hitting them with every single ability. For those of you who do not know, they will likely not resist fully the blizzard damage while you're running through if they are red to you. You can still damage them. However, you're probably not going to do maximum damage, so you're probably going to hit for like 13, 35 or something like that, a fourth or a half of the normal blizzard damage. But what they can resist is your slow effect, which makes it very difficult to actually get the slow. But now we're level 42, accidentally aggro Theka. If you ever aggro Theka, that box right there is a reset spot, and then we also have this pot right here, which is a reset spot. If you are line of sight of him, he will reset, but obviously if you're this close and he's not line of sight of you, he's probably not going to reset. So make sure that you line of sight him to make sure that he resets. But now we're pretty much good to go. We put on Dampen Magic because there is a poison cloud that comes from the Scarabs. Don't worry about it too much. It's not going to do much damage to you. Theka can also put a debuff on you that does like 18 damage to you. Again, nothing really to worry about too much as far as damage taken that you're going to have. More so, you just want to make sure that you're not getting hit by these mobs so you don't get dazed. But I run around, wand, counterspell, and everything like that. Then I blink to the other side. I have these mobs. I'm going to slow this Blood Drinker. And this is the first attempt where I decide to go around the backside. And so I Nova these guys. I'm still at 100% health. Cold Snap, jump around the back, and I get up with 7% health. But the issue is that the mobs right down here can actually leeway hit you up top. So in theory, I should be safe at this point. I mean, I only have 7% health, so that's not great, obviously. But I could, in theory, still pull off this pool. But unfortunately, the mobs have leeway to hit me, and that is why I die. Because even though they're down here, they hit me from below and hit me up top. That is why I die. So I decide to get back in there, and I decide to go with the strategy of running through the front. And this is going to be the golden ticket. So you can do this at level 42 plus as a mage. It's going to be a heck of a lot easier at 45 just because you're going to have lips if you need lips. But you can start doing this at 42. Definitely go through the front though. And I'm going to go through some big recommendations as well. But if you want to kill the Scarabs, you can actually kill them from level 40, just not as one big pool. So if you are level 40 and you want to get that experience, what I recommend doing is just killing the zombies, then coming back into this room and killing the Scarabs, bringing them into the same location as we do here. Don't worry about if you aggro, Blood Drinkers, Soul Eaters, Witch Doctors, doesn't matter. The only one that really matters is if you aggro a Shadow Hunter. And if you aggro a Shadow Hunter, you have to sheep it. But here we see that we pull all four corners, basically, of the Scarabs. These Scarabs will aggro each other, so they automatically aggro for us, so we don't need to worry. But then we're going to come to the left. We're going to Nova. and then we're going to jump behind the mobs and get up to the top, constantly reapplying Mana Shield and Ice Barrier as necessary. I did not have Cold Snap, so if you have Cold Snap, I would highly recommend Novaing the first mobs, Cold Snap, and then Novaing again, and then you should be good to go. But without Cold Snap, you could still pull it off like that. You do see that I aggro a Witch Doctor right there, and so I'm just going to try to sheep that constantly throughout the fight. But here we have all the Scarabs coming from the bottom, and we have all the zombies coming from around the back. And so we can see that we have the maximum amount of mobs possible. From here, you just go back into your normal rotation, and you jump back and forth. The one small complexity that the Scarabs do present is that they will try to cast that Poison Cloud, so they will not stay as stacked as the rest of the mobs, because they might try to cast the Poison Cloud and then run back. On a Mage, this isn't bad because you just end up blizzarding anyway, so you're going to get them to restack. But on a Paladin, it could cause some of the mobs to get separated, and so we're going to show the Paladin strategy in just a second, but it's not too bad to handle all of them. But ultimately, you can go back and forth. So what I learned from this is that you definitely want to go from the front side of the room here. You want to jump up onto the far ledge, jump up onto the head, and then jump up onto this ramp and blink down the ramp. You then want to go through this normal kill strategy and be good to go. However, if you want to start this at level 40, if you want to get the extra XP from killing the Scarabs, I would highly, highly recommend doing them as a separate pool. Otherwise, it's just going to get really sloppy. At the end of the day, it's really difficult to do this pool at level 40 when you don't have experience, let alone if you're trying to bring in Scarabs. And at level 42, it's still complex for people. So I would just recommend taking your time and don't worry about diving in too much right off the bat. But it is fun to experiment with, and it does add extra experience. Each Scarab, when it dies, gives roughly 250 to 300 experience, and there's about 30 Scarabs that you kill each time. So if you think about that, that's, roughly another 7.5 to 9,000 experience every single run. And when you only need 100,000 experience to level, that means you're getting an extra 1/10 of a level every single run. And so at 4 runs an hour, if you're constantly doing this, it's about an extra 40% of your level every single hour that you're going through. So it's definitely going to be beneficial, and you're not going to have a problem at all hitting the 15-minute lockout periods with this strategy. I do not recommend trying to do all of them together at once, though, at level 40, because it is probably going to end pretty poorly for you. But level 42 plus, you'll be good to go. To make it really safe, just grab a lip, pop a lip before you run over to this platform. Lip will last long enough where you can jump up, you won't take any damage, you'll have full mana, and you'll be good to go from there. Other things you can use is Mage Blood Potions. You could use mana regen food, things like that, just to increase your overall mana regeneration. You can also use Scroll of Spirits and stuff like that. Those things will help with the fight, but you don't need them at the end of the day. So on a Pally, we have the same kind of idea. Now I'm level 54 on my Pally, and so this isn't going to show it at level 42 or 44 or whatever. But with a Paladin, we need to think about what kind of level range do we want to do this at. And I would highly recommend that you do not start trying to do this until the mobs have a very low chance of dazing you. With the Paladin, you're going to be getting hit by all these mobs. Mage, you can outrange them, obviously, with, Blink and Cone of Cold and things like that. But with the Paladin, you're not really going to be able to outrange the mobs. So with that in mind, the mobs are probably going to hit you, and they're going to have a good chance to crush you or daze you. With the mobs getting up to as high as level 46, I'd recommend you don't start this until level 44, just so they're all yell at you. But if you wanted to, in theory, you could do this at level 42. Ultimately, at the end of the day, Paladins have bop, so that makes it a lot easier for them to survive. It's almost like they have a lip, at a lower level. But the Paladin, it's the same kind of idea. Come around this backside, you're going to jump up onto this corner. You could jump over, and then you can be down to this part. Aggroing the Scarabs and where to position the Scarabs, though, is much more important on a Paladin. You don't really need to worry about Theka too much. Not going to do a ton of damage to you, and you can dispel the disease. But you want to aggro this Scarab. You want to hug the inside, if you do want to avoid Theka, and run around. Grab the Scarabs along the outside. I like to consecrate right there with a rank 1 consecrate. And then I throw an iron grenade or some kind of grenade towards that far Scarab. If you are doing this as a Paladin, just the ZF farm in general, you're probably going to be engineering anyways. So that's why I assume that you have grenades. If not, you could try to run over to them, but I wouldn't recommend it. There is actually something important, so I want to dive back just a little bit. Run through this middle. You can jump up onto this part right here. This is a reset spot, as we talked about, and jump over this pillar. What that causes is it causes the Scarabs to run back around and go along the outside and actually aggro more of the Scarabs. So this is going to allow you to get more of the Scarabs in the run. From there, you just run like normal. Normally, you won't get hit by the mobs because you won't get dazed if you're facing them. If you're facing a mob, that's why I keep on trying to face the mobs, you can't get dazed. But if the mobs are behind you, that is when you could get dazed. So I run over here, I aggro these mobs, and then I'm going to pop bop on myself, aggro the rest of the mobs, and I have 10 seconds to get up to this reset spot. So it's pretty easy as a paladin to get up to here. And once you're in this spot, it's the normal jump back and kill rotation. One nice thing though that I want to point out to you guys is how to aggro the mobs in the bottom. So you can also do this as a mage. You can use Blizzard just to aggro them from the top if you wanted to, but this allows you to keep the mobs really stacked. And so what I do on a paladin is I jump down and I use Exorcism or Consecrate or Judgment or something like that, whatever you need to use to pull the mobs, jump back up on that far pillar, and then run back and forth. From here, you just stack up the mobs just like normal, and you're going through your normal kill rotation. Now, as a Pally, obviously, I made another video for how to level up from a Pally from level 42 to 54 solo in ZF, and I ended up going to level 40 or 55, actually, sorry, because there isn't a ton of great farms for Pallies like there is for mages. You could, in theory, try to do Mara, you could try to do DM, but it's going to be pretty slow because you can't really kill the satyrs real easy yet in DM. And in Mara, it's going to be really slow because you have to run back and forth. So I actually stick in ZF until 55 on my Paladin before going anywhere else. But I can link down that video down in the description down below and also up at the top. You guys can check that out and see how you can do this farm if you'd like to do this with your Paladin. It's honestly pretty easy. And once you get it down, it takes a little bit of practice for sure, just like anything, but once you get it down, you'll be good to go. It does rely heavily, though, on iron grenades or thorium grenades, especially before level 50. At level 50, you do get Holy Wrath, and so that's what you kind of see me like shooting across at times. It has a 1 minute cooldown, but it does a crap ton of damage. You can see I'm pulling 840 DPS, and a lot of that is Holy Wrath. So makes it a lot easier at 50, but before 50, you just need to leverage grenades a little bit more. It takes a little bit longer to get the kills, but you'll be able to get them down for sure. But this is an easy paladin method that you can use to group up the scarabs. I'd say it's probably easier on a pally than a mage just because you have bubble, but you could do it with either one of them. And you can see here that we have 36 kills of the zombies and 33 kills of the scarabs. You can even get more zombies depending on RNG. All right, everyone, that wraps up today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, please subscribe and leave a like and a comment below to let me know so. And if you guys have any other ideas for any other videos, please let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the description for the Twitch where I do all this live, and also for my Twitter and Discord where you guys can be notified of any future updates and when I'm going to go live on stream. So I'll see you guys in the next video.